Hello everyone! Welcome to our class under the new normal learning environment. So you will be learning under the following flexible learning modalities. One, we can be online distance learning through Zoom or Google Meet or any platform that the class can freely access. Then number two, I will be providing you printed learning activities. Number three, face-to-face learning, but that will only happen when the government authorities will allow us to do so. Okay? Now, class, you may find difficulties along the way, but in order for you to move into the next level of your journey, be more patient and work hard in your studies. Mind you, it's not only you students who find difficulties during this new learning environment. Kami rin na mga teachers nahihirapan din. But we are one with this, so we have to push through. So do your best in everything that you do. Do not be complacent. Remember, God is not done with you yet, and He will see you through all the challenges. So if you have concerns, I'm just a message away. Don't hesitate to inform, inquire, or ask me. Then let me know. If you need some help, you can ask help from your classmates. I know that they are very willing to work with you. I suggest that you have a small group. Maybe you can have your chat and discuss the topics that we will be discussing. Okay? So, the first chapter of our subject will be discussed by me, and I would like to introduce to you now our course. So, EDUC 331, that's Social Dimensions of Education. That's 3 units, equivalent to 54 hours. And there is no prerequisite subject. So, even a first-year student can enroll in this course. Okay? Now, this course introduces you to the overview of social science theories and researches that are related to education. Now, there is a basic assumption that education is a social function. So therefore, the attempt to understand and master the educative process must be based on comprehensive understanding of social theories and issues. So, it's that we will not be learning here about strategies, we will not be learning about theories on development, but we will be talking about the social theories or social science theories that are related to your teaching. Okay, now I have already given you, or I have sent to you, copies of the general objectives, the course outline, and so I believe at this point I will be proceeding to giving you a wrap-up discussion on the first chapter, which is the introduction to social dimensions of education. I have sent you copies of this PowerPoint presentation, but as I said, I will be discussing, giving you more practical examples so you will understand better. Okay? Now, social dimensions of education commits to promote social literacy, social competence, and social efficiency. So that you may ask, what's the importance of social dimensions of education as a course to you in the curriculum? So, through social dimensions of education, this course will help you develop within yourself respect and appreciation of human diversity through education that provides alternatives for maximum involvement. Now, when we say social literacy, this is expected for you to develop this social literacy. So when we say social literacy, it is possessing the skills to recognize and accept the individual differences of individuals without making value judgments. Students, future teachers, in your class, you will be meeting 30, 40, 50 kinds of personalities. So, if you have mastered this by the time that you graduate and by the time you become a teacher, if you have mastered social literacy, you will be able to understand why your pupil A is like this, why is pupil B behaving like this, and so on. No? Why are some of your co-teachers do not seem to cooperate? Why are some so friendly to you? So, you have to learn this, social literacy. And with the topics that we will be discussing in this subject, hopefully you will be learning or you will be developing social literacy. Number 2 is social competence. So, possessing the social, emotional, and intellectual skills and behaviors needed to succeed as a member of the society and the world. It's not enough that you know how to read, you are good at mathematics, you are good at your major subjects, you have friends, no? But you have, as a teacher, you have to develop social competence. And that is, by the time that you you become a teacher, no? So now you are developing. By that time, you must have a stable, at least, no? Stable social, emotional, and intellectual skills. So you understand, no? You will understand the behaviors of others and even yourself. You will understand yourself better so that you will be successful as a member of the society and the world. Okay? And the last is social efficiency. This condition characterized by valuing human diversity. In other words, even if you teach later, you teach in Thailand, you teach in Singapore, or you teach in Lake Cebu, or in Tiboli, or somewhere else, no? In the United States or in Japan, you have that skill to be able to adjust. You are able to adjust with the culture, you are able to adjust with your co-workers, and so on. But you cannot attain social efficiency if you have not developed your social literacy and social competence. Okay, so that's it. Now let's proceed to class. I will just go through the salient points of this topic because I have already given you the electronic copies of this. I have sent to your to our group chats. No? So I hope that you have read the presentations that I have sent you, and so it is written there that sociology is a scientific study of human social behavior. Remember, we are to look into the social science theories, no? And how these are related to your teaching or to education. So, as the study of humans in their collective aspect, sociology is concerned with all group activities. It could be in the economic, social, political, and religious aspect of the human being. Okay? Now, sociologists see education as one major institution that constitutes society. Correct. In one of the topics, education is one, and the school is one of the social institutions, no, that help in the development of the society. Okay, let's proceed to the consensus and conflict theory. So we have defined the conflict, we have defined consensus, no. So when you come into an agreement, there is consensus. When there is a clash of ideas and principles and people, in other words, there is conflict. I would like to go into the how this consensus and conflict theories relate to education. I'll give you an example. So, before we did not have this K-12 curriculum, right? So our grades 1 to 6 in the elementary, so there are 6 years, 4 years in the high school, Then a graduate of high school proceeds to college. But here comes the K-12 curriculum. What happened before? What happened before the implementation of the K-12 curriculum? There was a conflict. No? So let me bring you a very specific example on how a conflict can give rise to an improvement or a change. Okay? Now, our graduates in college finished, so 6 years in high school, in elementary, 4 years in high school, another 4 years in college. So, all in all, 6 plus 4, 10 plus 4, 14. So, a professional completes 14 years in education. So, a bachelor's degree holder, meaning completed his education for 14 years. So, he earned his degree or her degree after 14 years. But a very specific example of this is a nurse going abroad. No? When they go to the US, they are not hired and they are not paid as nurses, but they are hired as nursing aid. Why? Because when they look at the transcript of records, for them, or according to their standards, we lack 2 senior high years. Okay? And so on and so forth. In other countries, they also evaluate our graduates that way. So, kulang tayo ng 2 taon. And our engineers are not hired as engineers. Our teachers are not hired as immediately as teachers, no? Because of this lacking 2 years. So, what happened? Our government officials, especially in the education sector, conducted study, and they found out that we are one among the 2 countries who are left behind, especially in the standards or the curriculum that is being offered by our country. So, para nakita natin may conflict. Bakit yung mga graduates natin hindi hired sa ibang country as teachers, no? May conflict. So, nagkaroon ngayon ng study. And after that study, after so many discussions, may mga conflicting ideas, may consensus, and so on and so forth. And there came a time when the K-12 curriculum was passed into law, no? And it was implemented. And now, I think you are the last batch. You are the last batch of students, no? Graduating students who did not go through who did not go through the senior high school education. The batch following you or the next to you are graduates of senior high school before they proceeded to the first year college. So, in other words, in education, may advantages din ang may conflicting ideas. So, I believe as we went through the pandemic since March, you have watched on TV, you have seen, you have read in the Facebook, in the internet, ang daming mga conflicting ideas. But you see, conflicting ideas are real. Why? Because we need this. Parang bang sinasabi na, parang sa isang grupo, merong isang kontrabida. Pero sabihin na natin, if you are a positive learner, you think about the idea of others, which is in conflict with your idea, pag-iisipan mo, meron bang katuturan yung kanyang mga sinabi? Meron bang, bakit against siya dun sa idea ko? The best naman yung idea ko. If you are a positive learner, you stop and think about the suggestions, and siguro masasabi mo, aha, siguro may punto siya. Why not? Okay, and go. Go with the discussion, but discuss positively. Okay? Pwede tayong maging critique, pwede tayong mag-criticize, but do it with tact, no? Hindi yung nanga-insulto kagid nga nasasaktan na yung kasama mo, no? But you have to discuss with positive thinking. Okay? Now, so yun yung isang example na nagawa na nakita ko sa education. So ngayon sa pandemic, ang daming mga ideas, but natutupad lang ang isang kaparaanan, or there is, like for example, executive order, no? Executive order per town, executive order ng ating government, or especially in the provincial government natin. So merong pinapasunod na mga patakaran, because before that there had been a consensus among the group who prepared the rules and regulations, no, in managing the COVID-19. Okay? Now, kung walang conflict, meaning equilibrium. Ayan na, absence of conflict is seen as the equilibrium. So therefore, pag may agreement, sige, ayos na. So i-implement na yan. Okay? Conflict happens almost every day. Kahit sa sarili mo may conflict. Ano bang susuot ko? Magpapantalon ba ako? Magbibistida ba ako? Ano? Which one will I wear? Yung red, yung blue na damit? Ano man? Will I meet my classmate or next week na lang? And so on. No? Kahit sa sarili natin may mga conflict. But it is good that we can come to agreements with others, no? Ano ang purpose ng consensus? Minsan sasabihin nila, sige na lang gani, magsugot na lang ako kay para tama na, para wala na sang away, no? But it should be, you should think about consensus as coming together in agreement for the betterment of something. Huh? Okay, so covert or overt, hindi ko na ito i-discuss, no? Kay alam, bisag din okay. Tingnan natin to. Status culture. Okay, status cultures. Ano itong status cultures? It says there, it refers to groups in society with similar interests and positions in the status hierarchy. So it's, for a simple example, kahit sa school, meron tayong status cultures. Sino yun? BEd, okay? BSN, group, agriculture, yan, may mga subculture yan. And then, if you want it to be smaller, subculture, so sabi mo, BEd 3rd year, BEd 4th year, and so on, no? Now, depende sa mga interest nila. Siyempre, nagkagrupo-grupo kayo kasi you have the same interest. So, according to Max Weber, schools teach and maintain particular status cultures. Correct. So, sabihin na natin, medical society, mga group of nurses, teachers, group of teachers, professional teachers, no? Okay? So, schools are homogeneous in their student bodies. Yes, of course. And then, education system trains individuals in specialties to fill needed positions or prepare cultivated individuals. So, sa isang college, kunwari, College of Engineering. So, because they want to prepare a group of engineers. Anong klaseng engineer? Civil engineer. Anong klaseng engineer? Agricultural engineer. O kaya chemical engineer, mechanical engineer, and so on. Now, okay. Now, what is the role of education or the schools in assuming the conflict theory? Sabi ko nga kanina, may advantages din kung bakit may conflict, no? Sometimes nakaklarify ang isang bagay dahil nagkaroon ng conflict. Okay. Schools help the students determine the instrumentalities used by the school system or the society, especially in teaching the dominant social, economic, and political status groups. So, itong si school or the education, no, now helps clarify, parang sinasabing, lalo na sa business, kunwari, School of Business. So, ano tinuturo sa School of Business? Accountancy, banking and finance, no? So, tinuturo ng school ngayon yan, tinuturo niya paano mag-ipon, paano mag-business, and so on. So, many people become rich because of what they learned from school. So, sa school, dapat itinuturo rin paano, bakit merong mga mahirap, ano ang kailangan gagawin, no? So, the becoming poor as one, no? Sabihin mo, you came from a poor family, but the school should teach you how not to stay as poor. I know many of you are coming from families of farmers. Mahirap ang buhay sa farming, di ba? Lalo na pagka hindi family owned ang lupa, nakikisaka lang. Mahirap. Lalo na kung minsan during harvest time, mura ang presyo ng mga palay. Pagka time na magtatanim, ang mahal-mahal ng mga inputs, no? So, igo ka lang pag harvest time na, igo lang pambayad sa utang. Meron mang konting-konti. Paano? Ilang estudyante meron ang isang pamilya, no? So, because of education, natututo ang estudyante on how to elevate the status in life. Okay? Buti nga ngayon merong yung scholarship ninyo, Unifast, no? So, in other words, sabihin na natin sa Unifast, in other words, those people in the education system, nakita nila paano natin tutulungan ang mga next generation para magkaroon sila they will earn their degrees so that their quality of life will be elevated. So, yan din ang maganda. Marami din, alam nyo, yung in making a law or kaya policy, ang daming mga discussions dyan. Maraming conflicting ideas until such time na maayos nila and then magkakaroon na ng consensus and then the rules, the law will be passed, no? And will be approved. Okay? So, ang school, mayroon ba mga conflict, pero dapat si school, kina-clarify niya ang mga bagay-bagay. Such that, it will bring, no, improvement or progress in the society. Okay? Now, dumaan tayo dun sa conflict, sabi natin. How do people or an organization settle a conflict? Conflict theory assumes that social behavior is best understood in terms of conflict or tensions between the competing group. Mas lalong naiintindihan pagka nagkakaroon ng conflict. Lalo na pag overt, no? Hindi lang nakatago ang masamang loob, no? Okay. Conflicts need not be violent. Hindi yung mag-aalsa ka kaagad, kwaon mo dahil binangon mo kung may conflict. No. It can take the form of labor negotiations, party politics, competition between religious groups, pwedeng discussion, pwedeng labor negotiation. Gusto gid namon magtaas amon sweldo. So, bilang nasa paaralan, no? Sana maayos kung ano man yung kinakainisan or ayaw ninyo ng mga rules and regulations ng iyong organization. School man yan or later, magtrabaho kayo sa ibang kumpanya. Kung meron kayo hindi nagustuhan, there is conflict, no? There is conflict between the labor and the management. sana ma-remember ninyo na pwedeng magkaroon ng conflict, pero this may be resolved not through violence but through negotiations. No? Okay. The conflict theorists believe that the focus of school should be in conflict management. Paano mag-manage ng conflict? Which is viewed as a major factor that can lead to change. No? So, kahit na sa ating sarili, kahit na sa ating pamilya, may mga conflict din yan. No? Meron ba yan sa inyong level na sino maglimpyo sang balay, nagsunggudanay na ang mag-utod kay amonisya ang suguon, tapos hindi siya magpasugo, and so on, no? So, conflict management. Okay? Conflict management. If you know how to manage conflict, that is a sign of maturity, no? Mature na, kaya niya na. You have to learn this, conflict management, because as a teacher, sa iyong classroom, meron kang 30, 40, 50 na estudyante, may mga lainay buot dira mga mag-classmate, hindi ka marunong mag-manage ng mga away-away, ay kaluoy ka gid nga teacher. So as a teacher, you should learn how to manage conflicts, no? Okay. So this is the conflict model. So, social structures produce patterns of inequality kasi nandito ang sabi niya, inequality in the distribution of scarce resources. Okay? Nung pandemic, marami nagagalit. Bakit wala kaming natanggap na mga relief goods, samantalang doon na balita sa isang barangay, meron. So, yan, inequality in distribution of scarce resources. So, nagkakaroon ng conflict. However, because there is conflict, ang mga leaders natin mag-iisip, ang mga leaders natin mag-meeting uli, pag-iisipan, magdi-discuss, and there comes a time na magkakaroon ng reorganization and change, no? Si President Duterte, pag may nakikita siya na conflict, mabilis, no? Nagkakaroon ng reorganization at nagkakaroon ng change agad-agad. Minsan nagugulat na tayo, iba na ang secretary, iba na ang leader dito, no? Okay. So that's it. So consensus and conflict theories. Now, I'd like you to please remember these people, no? Lalabas yan sa exam, ha? Proponents of consensus and conflict, sociological and social theories. Okay, so ito yung mga tao. Nandyan sa inyong mga papel. Okay? So, thank you for listening. That's the first part of our topic. Consensus and conflict theories.